Damn guys, you don't gotta call me out like that, what the hell man? Brax, if you're watching this, Montelli don't got sauce man, Pisalia's where it's at. Combine the sultriness of Changli with the vibes of Shorekeeper and the the element of Talchi, and we get Madame Cantarella here to grace us with her presence in version 2.2. Looking respectfully. Seems like they're still not done with giving us more Havoc units. If Rocha and Camellia weren't enough, we have yet another Havoc character, Cantarella. Kodo has been really pushing the needle on what characters are capable of in recent patches, from Phoebe doubling as either a main or sub DPS to Brant having the capability of healing and shielding. We're beginning to see more of these dual-role hybrid units entering the mix. While Brant opened up as a fairly decent character, a number of factors got in the way of him reaching his full potential. But with Cantarella opting for a more dedicated sub-DPS role, perhaps her hybrid combination could do a lot better. In this video, I'll be going over Cantarella's moveset to help you guys understand how she plays, how you should use her in rotations, then go through her sequences to let you know which are the good ones, before wrapping things up with her weapon, echo, and team builds, as well as giving my final thoughts on the character overall. Havoc's quickly becoming populated with a strong cast of characters. After going through most of version 1 without a whole lot of development, the advent of Camellia, Rocha, and Cantarella cemented the element as one of the more practical ones across Tower of Adversity and Wuthering Wastes. As we know, Rocha is a secondary unit primarily designed around grouping and attack boosting. Though she does indeed outperform Talchi and Sanhua when accompanying Camellia, it's abundantly clear Rocha was intended for wave clearing, not bossing, which means we still have an open position for a dedicated Havoc secondary in that regard, and it just so happens to be what Cantarella specializes in. Compared to the other Arena City units we have so far, Cantarella's actually got a fair bit of similarity in function to someone else we have in the game, Zozu. As you know, the Painter's main draw is her Liberation's ability to launch coordinated attacks whenever the active resonator deals damage, making her a great fit for characters who prefer DPS supplementation without having to take up field time. Cantarella has an identical ultimate as well, so we'll begin over there. Her Liberation's a blast of basic attack Havoc damage on nearby enemies that's accompanied by a buff lasting 30 seconds. During this time, up to 21 coordinated attacks can be made by said buff, exactly like JoJo's ultimate, either 21 attacks or 30 seconds passing. They happen to have the same cost, cooldown, and concerto regen too, although in comparison the damage of each attack is noticeably lower than JoJo's, but then again Cantarella does damage in other parts of her kit, so it should more or less even out. Applicably speaking, Canta's Liberation operates in the same exact way as JoJo's, so you can get an idea on what she aims to do. Before continuing though, there's something I want to draw attention to. Echo skill. Casting a Liberation also counts as casting an Echo skill. It's not just on her ultimate either, it's on a skill and Forte as well. Reason for this is because one of her inherent skills grants her an increase in Havoc damage for up to 2 times. Also, using Echo skills from herself or her team will make her charge up Concerto up to 6 times within 25 seconds. 6 times means Canta's abilities and then the 3 Echo actives across your party. So if you're wondering why her abilities count as using an Echo, it's mostly to drive up her own uptime and DPS. Since I gave mention to her Forte circuit, we might as well go to that next. Like with some of the other version 2 units, Canta has 2 resources, one being Shiver and the other being Trance. Trance is used to power up Shiver essentially, much like how Carlotta's multiple crystal powers up her substance. Using intro skill, her 3rd basic attack, or her skill and ultimate will rack up points of Trance. In addition, while swimming she gains Trance. You would think she'd be a water character with her whole theme and everything, but we don't have a water element in this game. Anyway, when Canta has any amount of trace, you can use her heavy attack to enter Mirage, modifying her skill and normal attack. Using her normal attacks will convert Trance into Shiver, healing all party members in the process. So just like Brant, Canta has the ability to heal your team. Performing a plunging attack or dodge counter will also grant Shiver and heal the party. When Canta has full Shiver points, her skill becomes empowered to deal more damage, heal the party, and hit them with the same debuff her skill applies, which I'll go over right now. On its own, her skill doesn't really do anything besides deal damage, but while in Mirage, her skill counts as an Echo skill when cast, and does more damage in addition to applying a debuff on them that slows them down for a period of time. When she attacks them again, the debuff is removed and they take bonus damage, under the condition that Canta attacks them. If her other 2 party members attack a debuffed enemy, it clears the effect, but without the extra damage. Thematically, Canta basically puts them to sleep, and then shocks them awake. The significance of her party-wide restoration is about the same as Brant in my opinion. It's more of a convenience that can add to your team's healing, but not substantial enough to replace your party's healer for the average person. Nonetheless, nice to have all the same. So basically Cantarella's playstyle is about attacking and using her abilities to charge up her Forte gauge, then she can use her heavy attack to enter Mirage to then charge up her 2nd Forte gauge and deal a big explosion at the end of it. In typical Wuthering Waves fashion, the kit looks complicated, but it's pretty straightforward once you get the hang of it. Now you might be asking, what's the purpose of going through her entire liberation when her ultimate hints at her being more of an off-field presence? Simply put, Kanta is a true hybrid playstyle character. Zoja is exclusively an off-field attacker, as in you swap to her from your healer, then get her set up, then swap to your main attacker, and call it a day. Kanta has two playstyles. You could choose to play her like Zoja, where you swap in, get your setup going, and then get out, or you can play her like a quick swap attacker. Despite lasting for only 8 seconds, Kanta's Mirage persists even while off-field. In fact, swapping back to her while Mirage is still active will give her a new intro skill, converting a portion of her damage into coordinated attacks, matching her Liberation's attack property. So there is merit to playing her in both ways, and she does more personal on-field damage than Zoja in exchange for less off-field damage. There's just one small caveat to playing her in quick swap. Kanta has a support outro skill, bonus Havoc and skill damage, so it's kind of the same problem as Yunlin, Brant, and Changli, where these characters love to swap around a bunch, but outro skills are lost upon swapping out of the character that's coming in, meaning you can't make full use of these outros in those teams. Oh well, still pretty good. Okay, now that we went through all of her abilities, let's get to the part where we talk rotation. Considering you can play her in 2 different ways, we'll set up her off-field rotation first. What you want to do is intro in, basic attack, then use the skill in Liberation to rack up trance points, then heavy attack 10 to Mirage, skill again, basic attack 3 times, then use their Forte empowered skill to apply that debuff again, hit them again to wake them up for more damage, echo, then swap out. It may be a lot to go through, but in total, it's only about maybe 7 to 8 seconds give or take. Plenty of time for your main attacker to still make use of Shorekeeper and Verina's buffs, not to mention Kanta's own Liberation and outro. Quick swapping requires a bit more finesse, and naturally there's no real distinct combo to go with. You just cancel whatever you can and perform the 2 characters' rotations at the same time. Altogether, we have a healer follow-up quick swap attacker. Pretty versatile of a character. She has the same basic principle as Brant of being a jack of all trades. A character who can play as either a full-on secondary or do dual DPS threats. Although, compared to Brant who's more into quick swapping, Cantarella is more of a sub-DPS. For all her animations and flares, she's got a very straightforward playstyle. But is she any good? It depends. For one, the 2 premier Havoc units we have so far are Camellia and Havoc Rover, both of whom can make use of Kanta quite well. The only thing is that Camellia is a basic attacker, and Rover's mostly split amongst all of them. Neither of them specialize in skill. I mean, Rover does do a bit of skill damage, but that's not the bulk of their DPS. There's no Havoc attacker in the game besides Dungeon who deals a ton of skill damage, meaning Kanta's outro skill isn't fully utilizable by anyone. Not that it has to be, mind you. I hate to sound like a broken record, but just like Phoebe, Rocha, and Brant when they came out, Cantarella is a unit whose full potential has yet to be tapped into. Right now she's a good character. She has good damage output for her type of playstyle, and you can work with her field time requirement. But until we get a proper Havoc skill DPS, we won't know where she really stands. Personally, I say she makes for a solid high tier unit. If you're well invested into Havoc Rover, Carlotta, and or Camellia, Kanta will be a solid choice. Just know that it might be a while before they make another Havoc DPS. Before we talk about teams though, let's talk about her sequences. S1 makes her resonant skill charge up an additional trance point, so that makes 2. At the same time, all variants of her skill become stronger, with the Forte empowered skill granting her super armor during the attack, so you can't get knocked out of it. Not a bad sequence. S2 is juicy though. Kanta's ultimate also applies the skill debuff onto enemies, letting you trigger the wake up attack thrice instead of twice. Moreover, said wake up attack gains a huge multiplier boost. Remember, you can do this 3 times, one from her Mirage skill, one from her Forte empowered skill, and then another one from her Liberation, so you can make use of the extra boost 3 times over. S2 is excellent for her personal DPS, considering the wake up attack has decent scaling already. Dolphin players definitely want to aim for that. S3 is both a DPS increase and a quality of life upgrade. First, Kanta's ultimate deals a big chunk of extra damage, enough to make it sting a lot, especially if you put lots of DPS into her. Unfortunately, it doesn't increase the follow-up attack damage, but regardless, a good boost. Secondarily, using it automatically sends Kanta into Mirage already, saving you the trouble of having to heavy attack. Thanks to S1, her skill and ultimate alone can hit 5 stacks of trance, meaning you don't have to go through the trouble of attacking or introing to get the last one. S3 is especially helpful for people who want to play her as a quick swap attacker. S4 is just healing bonus while in Mirage. I kind of wish it was a DPS boost like basic attack or skill damage, but if you're going beyond S3, chances are you're going for S6. S5 makes it so the max amount of follow-up attacks you can do with the Liberation go from 21 to 26. Again, it's been established before that S4 and S5 are mostly window dressing to make room for the big event. If you've come this far, you might as well finish it all the way. S6. First of all, Kanta gains 10% defense penetration for 10 seconds upon casting her ultimate. Also, each time enemies get struck by her skill debuff, for the first 1.2 seconds, they get frozen, just like Phoebe and Carlotta. Kanta's able to stun targets 4 times for just over a second each. This sequence is completely absurd, as it should be. From the sheer amount of utility and damage you get from it, she basically turns into a different character at that point. That being said, if we talk about cost effectiveness, I think S2 is the best bang for your buck to go after, as 6 is mainly reserved for whales anyway. Next, we're gonna go through teammates. Kanta's best team can be hard to pinpoint on account of having so many moving parts to her. For example, thanks to her being a skill damage booster, she's a good secondary choice for Carlotta if in the event you don't have JoJo. Granted, the increase doesn't quite measure up, but it's a good fallback to rely on. Her main teams will definitely be Camellia and Havoc Rover as their secondary or even healer slot. I know it may seem counterproductive to have 2 Havoc support characters and only be able to use one of their outros, but not only can Rocha power up all 3 characters with her attack buff, the personal DPS Kanta can dish out might actually make her worth it over Shorekeeper and Verena, freeing them up for other teams who can't afford to go this route. Obviously, running Camellia, Rocha, and Kanta simultaneously will be quite a challenge, but there is a lot of potential in that department. If you want to keep it simple though, you can always stick to Kanta as your secondary, Shorekeeper for your healer, and Camellia or Rover as your main attacker. Havoc Rover could play more quick swappy or hyper carry, whichever you prefer. One more option is Jinchi. Kanta's ultimate coordinated attacks and outro skill boost and skill damage make her a decent pick for the Magistrate if you don't have JoJo, so overall you have a lot of options for Kanta's teams. Lastly, let's talk build. The Rectifier category appears to be getting all the good stuff apparently. We have Yinlin, JoJo, Phoebe, Shorekeeper, and now Cantarella. Despite having the ability to heal, you definitely want to go for DPS, and their personal weapon does exactly that. High crit damage, free bonus attack, tons of basic attack damage, and even Havoc res ignore. Solid stuff. As a basic attacker, JoJo's weapon's a fantastic option too. Bonus crit damage and attack as well, tons of basic attack damage, and remember, Kanta can refresh her skill multiple times. Seeing as both of them deal coordinated basic attack damage, Kanta makes nearly full use of JoJo's weapon. You can never go wrong with, of course, Yinlin's String Master either, arguably the best general DPS rectifier in the game, and Kanta can easily utilize the off-field attack boost. I know I said in Phoebe's video that she has the best weapon selection in the game, but Kanta might be even better. She can use 4 different 5-star rectifiers at maximum efficiency. 4-star options, Augment's never a bad call, free attack and crit rate. Also, though you do pay a DPS cut by running it, Call of the Abyss could be a helpful option for supplementing Kanta's healing and energy. Personally, I would aim for energy on Echoes, but if you're in a pinch, never a bad idea. Echoes. 3 sets work on her. If you're aiming for more energy like I brought up earlier, Moonlit Clouds is a safe bet. It doesn't give you as much of a boost compared to Midnight Veil for Camellia and Rover, but it makes rotations more forgiving while minimizing losses to DPS. Her follow-up attack Liberation also makes her compatible with Empyrean Anthem, good for if you plan to play her in triple carry comps alongside Rocha and another Havoc. In that case, for main Echoes, Heron of course, for Moonlit. For Midnight, you want to go Lorelei, Havoc and basic attack damage. I'd like to think it's pretty obvious given they look kinda similar in appearance, and as for Empyrean, Hecate, pretty self-explanatory. Regardless of Echo set, go for crit on 4 cost, Havoc on 3 cost, and attack on 1 cost. Substats prioritize energy depending on what set you have. If you have Moonlit, you can go for about 35%, but if you're going the others, you need 40 to 50, so the energy requirement is quite steep, but regardless, same basic fare. After energy go crit stats, then attack percent, then basic attack damage. Alrighty, so all in all, Cantarella's a general purpose character. She has more versatility than the other secondaries we have so far, but due to her being split across so many niches, people may find her to be a jack of all trades, mistress of none. But I think because you can use her in so many parties, that alone makes her a great investment. Besides, we could still see more of her if we get a Havoc skill TPS character in the future. What do you guys think about Cantarella? Let me know in the comments if you plan to pull for her or not. But anyways, that concludes my guide video. I hope it was insightful to those who needed it and entertaining to those who wanted it. For the time being, if you enjoyed the video, a like and subscribe would be much appreciated. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at FarsFarum, join my Discord server, and check out my other character first impressions videos if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.